I don't usually dress up, but that night I made an effort. My sister Kayla was having her engagement party, and even though I didn't feel like going, I showed up looking nice for once. I wore a dress, did my hair, even put on some makeup. I wanted to feel good. Just for one night, I wanted to feel like I belonged. The party was loud and full of people. Everyone was smiling, drinking, laughing. I mostly stayed quiet, sitting near the edge of the room. When it was time for the toast, Kayla stood up with a glass of champagne. She looked beautiful, as always, confident, the center of attention. That was always her role. She raised her glass and started talking about her fiancé, Drew. Then she said something that hit me like a slap. And of course, thanks to my little sister for coming. She's always been the ugly duckling of the family, but look at her tonight, trying so hard. She laughed. Then everyone else laughed too. Even Drew. I froze. My stomach dropped, but I forced a smile. I didn't want them to see me break. I laughed softly, nodded like I was fine, then stood up and walked out of the room. Nobody stopped me. As I walked down the hall and reached the front door, I felt heat rise in my chest. It wasn't just embarrassment. It was anger. I had done nothing to deserve that. All I ever wanted was a little respect, a little kindness. But Kayla had to make me the joke. Again. Before I stepped outside, I turned back for a second and whispered to myself, "You want attention, Kayla? Let's give you a show." And I meant it. Growing up with Kayla was not easy. Everyone loved her. Teachers, neighbors, relatives. They all smiled when she walked into a room. She had shiny hair, straight teeth, and a loud laugh that made people pay attention. She was good at sports, always had friends around, and won every school contest. People said she was a star. At home, our parents acted like she could do no wrong. If she got a bad grade, they said the teacher must be unfair. If I got one, they said I didn't try hard enough. I was the quiet one. I liked staying in my room, reading or playing on the computer. I didn't care about clothes or makeup like Kayla did. I didn't know how to talk to people the way she could. I always felt out of place. When people visited, they asked about Kayla. I would just sit there listening. On holidays, she got the best gifts. New phone, designer bag. I got socks or books I didn't ask for. Once I heard my aunt say, "She's the pretty one. The other one's just there." They didn't even try to hide it. In high school, I had a crush on a boy in my math class. He was kind and a little shy like me. We talked sometimes. I really liked him. One day, Kayla found out. A week later, she was dating him. She didn't even like him. I know that because she laughed about it to her friends behind his back. She only went out with him to hurt me. When they broke up, she said, "He was boring anyway." I learned not to share anything after that. Not my feelings, not my ideas, nothing. I stopped hoping for attention or praise. I just focused on getting through school and moving on. People thought I was just a background character in my own family. But I had plans. I was good with computers. I liked solving problems, and I was good at staying focused. I started learning more on my own, building small things online, fixing bugs, writing code. No one cared or asked what I was doing. That was fine with me. After college, I got a job in tech. It paid well. I got promoted twice in 1 year. I started saving money, bought my own car, moved into a nice place. Nobody in my family knew any of that. They never asked. At family events, they still talked about Kayla's job, her clothes, her vacations. I just smiled and let them talk. They had no idea I made more money than Kayla and our parents combined. They still saw me as the same girl in the corner with the hoodie and glasses. But I didn't feel small anymore. I didn't need them to see me. I had my own life, my own world. And I knew more than they thought. Especially about Kayla. She always acted like her life was perfect, like she was above everyone. But I knew things. I paid attention. I remembered. And one day, I realized something. If I ever wanted to change the way the story went, I could. I just had to wait for the right time. I stayed quiet, but I paid attention. Kayla always thought I wasn't looking, like I didn't matter. But I watched everything. I listened more than anyone realized. I never forgot how she treated me, and I never forgot how easy it was for her to lie with a smile. She loved to show off online. Fancy dinners, gifts from Drew, weekend trips. At first, I just rolled my eyes like anyone would. But one day, I noticed something strange. She posted a photo from a hotel, but when I looked closely, Drew wasn't in it. The caption said me time, but I recognized the shirt lying on the chair in the background. It belonged to another guy. I remembered seeing him in one of her older photos, someone she used to date before Drew. That's when I started saving things. I took screenshots, messages that didn't match, posts that were quickly deleted, DMs where she flirted with people who weren't Drew. Sometimes she used fake names. Sometimes she used her friend's phone. But she wasn't careful, and I was. I checked her social accounts often. I didn't need her passwords. So much was already public if you looked close. And I did. I kept everything. Pictures, texts, dates. It was all there. And the more I looked, the worse it got. One night at a family dinner, I heard her laughing with a friend on the phone in the other room. She didn't know I was nearby. Her voice was clear through the wall. Honestly, she said, I'd cheat on Drew in a heartbeat if I could find someone richer. He's sweet, but I'm bored. I need a man, not a puppy. Then she laughed and changed the subject. I stood there frozen, holding my glass, just listening. I felt something shift inside me. Not sadness. Not shock. Just cold, quiet focus. After that, I couldn't stop. I dug deeper. I found Venmo payments that didn't make sense. Expensive gifts she didn't post about. Messages with people she called just friends but sent heart emojis to at 2 a.m. I even found pictures stored in the cloud she probably forgot were still there. Photos she wouldn't want Drew to see. Every time I found something, I saved it. I made a folder. I didn't know what I would do with it yet, but I kept building it piece by piece. Not out of revenge at first, but out of curiosity. It was like a puzzle, a story no one else could see. I watched her lie, smile, and keep playing the perfect fiancé. She had no idea someone was paying attention. She never thought I was smart enough or bold enough. She never looked over her shoulder. But I was watching, and one day, I knew I was going to do something about it. 2 weeks after the party, I went to a small cafe near my apartment. It was quiet, the kind of place I liked. I just wanted coffee and a few minutes to myself. I was standing in line when I heard someone say my name. I turned, and there was Drew. He looked surprised and happy to see me. He smiled like nothing was wrong, like we were old friends. He asked how I was doing and if I'd been busy lately. I nodded and gave a polite answer. I remembered his face at the party. I remembered how he laughed at Kayla's joke. But now, looking at him, he didn't seem cruel. Just clueless. We ended up sitting at a table together. He offered to pay for my drink. I said sure. He talked about the wedding plans, about Kayla's new ideas for the color scheme. He said she wanted everything to be perfect. He smiled the whole time like he really believed it. I listened and said very little. I watched the way his eyes lit up when he talked about her. He truly thought she was someone special. It almost made me feel sorry for him. Almost. Then he surprised me. He looked at me and said, "You looked really nice at the party." I don't think I said that. I stared at him for a second. I couldn't tell if he was trying to be kind or if he really meant it. Either way, I just smiled a little and said thank you. He didn't know what that night had done to me. He didn't know what I had found since. But as I sat there, I started to feel something new. Not anger. Not pity. Something else. He didn't deserve what was happening behind his back. He didn't know who Kayla really was. He thought she loved him. He believed in her. Part of me wanted to tell him everything right there in the cafe. To pull out my phone, show him the messages, the photos, the lies. But I stopped myself. It wasn't the right time, and it wasn't the right way. Drew needed the truth. But it had to be clear. Real. Something he couldn't ignore. Something she couldn't talk her way out of. I wasn't going to give him a warning. I was going to give him proof. He smiled again before we said goodbye. He thanked me for the coffee and said he hoped to see me again soon. I watched him walk away, still full of hope. That was when I made up my mind. I would show him what she really was. Not in anger. Not with yelling. Just the truth, laid out in a way no one could deny. He deserved that much. I knew Kayla used the same password for everything. She never took things like privacy seriously. I had guessed her email password years ago, and when I tried it again, it still worked. It didn't take much to get into her cloud storage. Once I was in, I saw everything. There were folders full of pictures. Some were normal, vacations, selfies, outfits. But some were different. Photos taken in hotel rooms with people who weren't Drew. Screenshots of chats with men she called just friends. The messages were flirty, full of promises and secrets. One guy even sent her money through a payment app. She told him she was single. I kept going. I opened her email and saw messages from Drew's mom. Kind messages about wedding plans, offering to help with money for the reception. Kayla replied politely to her, but in another email to a friend, she laughed about how easy it was to get cash out of them. She even joked about asking for more, calling Drew's parents walking wallet. I sat there, shocked. I knew Kayla was fake, but I didn't know she was cruel. She didn't just lie, she used people. I started saving everything. I downloaded the photos, copied the emails, and took screenshots of every message that looked suspicious. I sorted everything by date, by name, by type. I wanted to make it easy to follow. Easy for someone like Drew to understand. I didn't rush. I wanted to be sure. I wanted to build something complete. Something that couldn't be explained away. I even added notes to some of the screenshots to explain what was happening. While I did this, I started texting Kayla. I told her I had fun at the party. I said I was sorry if I made things awkward. I asked her to hang out sometime soon, like old times. She replied fast, full of smiley faces and fake warmth. She believed every word. I visited her one weekend. I brought cookies. I smiled and laughed and said I was happy for her and Drew. She talked about her honeymoon ideas like nothing was wrong. I nodded and agreed with everything. I even complimented her ring. She had no clue what I knew. No clue what I was planning. She thought she had won. She always did. That was her mistake. She didn't know I was done playing the quiet one. She didn't know I had all her secrets, and I wasn't keeping them anymore. I watched her talk, full of herself, thinking the world belonged to her. And I smiled, knowing something she didn't. Something she would soon find out. Drew's birthday was coming up. A small party was planned at his apartment with close friends and family. Kayla invited me like nothing had ever happened between us. She sent a message saying, "Hope you can come. It'll be fun," with a little heart emoji at the end. I replied, "Wouldn't miss it." I spent the next few days getting ready. I baked cookies from scratch, his favorite kind with chocolate and sea salt. I bought a good bottle of whiskey, the one he had once mentioned liking. And then I packed one more thing, a small gift box with a ribbon on top. Inside the box was something I had worked on for weeks. A photo album, not a normal one with childhood pictures or silly memories. This one had a title printed on the cover in simple black letters. What your fiancé does when you're not looking. I didn't decorate the album. I didn't add jokes or captions. It was plain and quiet, just like me. I wanted it to look calm on the outside, because the inside spoke for itself. The day of the party, I dressed nicely. Nothing too fancy, but enough to look confident. I carried the cookies in one hand and the gift bag in the other. When I arrived, Kayla hugged me like we were best friends. I smiled back, said she looked great, and handed her the cookies. She barely looked at them. The living room was full of laughter, music, and drinks. Drew's parents were there, a few of his friends, and some people from Kayla's side too. Everyone seemed relaxed. Drew looked happy. After food and drinks, someone brought out a cake. Everyone sang. Drew made a wish, blew out the candles, and started opening gifts. People gave him books, shirts, gadgets. He thanked them all kindly. When it was my turn, I walked over and handed him the small gift bag. "Just something I thought you'd like," I said, keeping my voice calm. He smiled and pulled out the photo album. Kayla leaned in, clearly curious. She laughed and said, "Is this some weird sister joke?" A few people chuckled. Drew opened the album. The first page was a nice photo of the two of them at a beach, smiling, holding hands. I had picked that one on purpose. It made the next pages hit harder. The second page had a screenshot of Kayla's text to another man. "Can't wait to see you again. He's out of town, so it's safe." The date and time were clear. The third page had a photo, Kayla in a hotel room, wearing something meant only for someone close. Not Drew. At first, Drew didn't say anything. He just flipped the pages slowly. More pictures. More messages. Her laughing about using his parents for money. Her planning secret trips. Her saying, "He's sweet but so boring." The room grew quiet. Kayla reached for the album, but Drew pulled it back. She said, "Wait, what is this?" Her voice was sharp now. No more laughing. Drew looked at her, then at me. He didn't speak. He didn't need to. The silence was louder than anything. Kayla started talking fast. "This is fake. She's just jealous." But nobody responded. A few people looked away. Some stared at the floor. Drew stood up with the album in his hand. He didn't yell. He just walked out of the room. Kayla called after him, but he didn't stop. I stayed standing by the table, hands calm at my sides. Kayla turned to me, face red. "What the hell is wrong with you?" I didn't answer. There was nothing else to say. At first, no one really understood what was going on. Drew was flipping through the album slowly, his face calm. No one said a word. The music kept playing in the background, and people were still holding drinks and plates, but all eyes were on him. He didn't smile. He didn't laugh. He just kept turning the pages one by one. The room began to shift. The smiles faded. The laughter stopped. Kayla leaned in beside him, trying to peek at what he was looking at. She gave a soft laugh, like she still thought it was some silly gift or a joke. "Babe, what is that?" "Something weird from my sister?" she said, nudging him playfully. Drew didn't answer. He turned another page. Then he spoke, quietly but clearly. "Kayla, what is this?" She blinked. "What do you mean?" He turned the album around and showed her one of the pages. A photo she never meant anyone else to see. Her face changed right away. She reached for it quickly. "Give me that," she said. He pulled it back. "No." Now everyone was watching. The whole room had gone silent. You could hear the clink of someone setting down a glass too hard. Kayla gave a nervous laugh. "This is obviously fake. My sister must have photoshopped this or something. Why would you even believe this?" Drew didn't say anything. He kept flipping the pages. The screenshots, the hotel photos, the money requests, the messages with hearts and kisses sent to other men. It was all there. In order. With dates. With names. Kayla's face turned pale. She looked around the room, as if hoping someone would step in or speak up for her. No one did. She turned to me, her voice rising. "You did this. What's wrong with you? Are you that jealous of me?" I didn't say a word. I just looked at her. She took a step toward me. "You seriously went digging into my private stuff? Are you insane? You're obsessed with me. You always have been." I didn't move. She kept yelling. "You ruined my life. This is my engagement, my future, and you just what? You think this makes you look good? Drew stood up. He didn't shout. He just stood there, holding the album in his hands. He looked at her one last time, eyes tired, mouth tight. I don't even know who you are, he said. Then he turned and walked out. Kayla ran after him, calling his name. He didn't stop. The door opened. Then it closed. Hard. Everyone stayed quiet. No one looked at each other. Some people slowly picked up their things. A few walked to the kitchen to pretend to help clean up. Anything to avoid the tension. Kayla came back a few minutes later, eyes red, makeup smudged. She looked at me like she wanted to throw something. You really think you won? You're pathetic. I still didn't speak. I didn't have to. She knew. She stormed off to her room, slammed the door, and left the rest of us standing there in the mess she made. After Drew walked out, the room stayed quiet for a long time. No one knew what to say. A few people tried to act normal, but it didn't work. The party was over, even if the music was still playing in the background. One by one, people started to leave. Some hugged Kayla quickly. Some didn't say anything at all. Everyone looked uncomfortable. I stayed. I didn't feel the need to run. I sat at the table and picked up one of the cupcakes from the tray. Vanilla with white frosting. I took a bite and let the sweet taste sit on my tongue. It was soft, warm, and almost too sweet. I smiled a little. From the other room, I could hear Kayla yelling. First at her friends, then at someone on the phone. She was angry, loud, and upset. She kept saying things like, she planned this, and none of that was real. Her voice was full of panic. I stayed calm. I didn't speak unless someone asked me something. Most people didn't. Later, I heard her telling one of Drew's friends that I had made everything up. She said I faked the pictures. She said I had always been jealous. She tried to make herself the victim. But it didn't work. People had seen the album. The dates, the names, the pictures, none of it looked fake. And honestly, everyone already knew Kayla had a habit of lying. They just never said it out loud before. The next day, everything got worse for her. Drew didn't come back. He didn't call her. He blocked her number. His parents found out what happened. They were shocked and angry. They stopped replying to her messages. She tried to explain things, but they didn't want to hear it. The wedding plans were canceled that week. No dress fittings. No invitations. No more talk about the honeymoon. All gone. Just like that. Kayla started losing her mind. She posted sad photos online, trying to get sympathy. She said things like, you never know who will turn against you, and some people live to ruin happiness. But the likes were low. The comments were quiet. No one wanted to be part of her mess. A few days later, she texted me, Kayla, you destroyed everything. Me no. You did. I left it at that. I didn't feel joy or excitement. I felt peaceful. For the first time in a long time, I wasn't the quiet one in the background. I had done what needed to be done. I didn't scream. I didn't fight. I just told the truth. And the truth was enough. I went back to work like normal. I met friends for dinner. I watched movies at home. My life didn't change much. But something inside me did. I wasn't small anymore. I didn't need anyone to clap for me or say I did the right thing. I already knew I had. Kayla stayed quiet after that. No more calls. No more fake smiles. She had to sit with the mess she made. I still think about that vanilla cupcake sometimes. Sweet on the outside, simple, nothing flashy. But that day, it tasted like something more. It tasted like peace. 3 weeks passed without a word from Drew. I didn't expect to hear from him. I thought maybe he would move on, stay quiet, and try to forget the whole thing. But one evening, my phone lit up with a number I didn't recognize. I answered, and it was him. His voice was calm but soft, like he wasn't sure if he should be calling. He said, "Hey, it's Drew." There was a pause. Then he said, "Thank you." Just that. Quiet but clear. I didn't say much. I let him talk. He said he was still trying to understand everything, but he appreciated that I didn't let him walk into something blind. He said it hurt, of course, but the truth was better than a lie, even a beautiful one. After a moment, he asked if I wanted to meet for coffee, just to talk. No pressure. I said yes. We met at a little place not far from where we had seen each other last. It was quiet again, like before, but this time the air felt different. He was already there when I walked in, sitting by the window with a cup in his hand. I sat across from him, and for a few seconds, neither of us said anything. He looked tired but calm. I could tell he had been thinking a lot. He gave me a small smile. I smiled back. We talked about small things first. Work, the weather, anything easy. Then, slowly, we got to the real reason we were there. He looked at me and said, "Did you plan all of it?" I met his eyes and didn't answer right away. He didn't sound angry, just curious, maybe a little confused. I gave him a small smile. "I brought a gift," I said. He looked at me for a moment longer, then gave a short laugh. Not a happy one, more like someone letting go of something heavy. He shook his head and looked down at his cup. "I really loved her," he said quietly. "I know," I said. "She fooled me. I know that too." He looked out the window, eyes far away. I don't know if I can trust anyone again. I didn't say anything. Some things don't need a reply. After a while, he stood up. I'm glad you showed me, he said. I think I would have married her and never known. I nodded. That's why I did it. We walked out together. At the door, he turned to me. You're not who I thought you were, he said. I gave a soft laugh. Nobody ever thinks they should look twice at the quiet one. He smiled a little. Not a big smile, but real. Take care, he said. You too, I replied. Then he walked away. I stood there for a moment, watching him go. I didn't feel proud. I didn't feel sad. I just felt still, like everything was finally quiet inside me. And that was enough. For most of my life, I felt like I didn't matter. I was always in the background, quiet and overlooked. People saw me, but they didn't really look. They never asked what I thought or how I felt. I was just the other sister, the one who didn't shine. Kayla was the bright one. Loud, pretty, full of charm. She could lie and smile at the same time. She took up all the space in the room, and I let her. I stayed small because it was easier. I stayed silent because no one really listened. But being quiet doesn't mean being weak. Watching doesn't mean not knowing. I saw everything. I remembered everything. And when the time came, I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I didn't need to. I just told the truth. That changed everything. It didn't fix the past. It didn't take away the years of being ignored or laughed at. But it gave me something else. It gave me peace. It gave me control. For the first time, I didn't feel powerless. My life still isn't perfect. I don't have a huge group of friends or a spotlight on me. But I'm okay with that. I like the quiet. I like the space I've made for myself. I have a good job, a safe home, and the freedom to be who I am. I no longer wait for people to see my worth. I no longer care if they understand me. What matters is that I know what I'm capable of. I know I'm not weak, and I'm not afraid. People like Kayla think they can do anything because no one ever stops them. But sometimes the quiet one is the one who sees the most. And sometimes the one you laugh at is the one who changes everything. They used to call me the ugly one, the odd one, the girl no one noticed. That's fine. They all saw what I looked like. Now they know who I am. Betrayal hurts, but it doesn't define you. Share this story with someone who needs a reminder of their strength. Comment your thoughts and follow for more true stories about healing, courage, and quiet revenge. Your strength is already inside you. This is just the beginning. Let's rise together.